and welcome to another episode of Leading Las Vegas. I'm Danielle Ford of DanielleFord.com, where visibility makes a difference, and I am so stoked to be sitting here with one of my favorite people in Vegas, Todd. He's the founder of Hero School. We kind of go back a few years. We've done pretty cool things in the community, have some mutual friends, and when I have something to offer a nonprofit, his is my go-to because I really care about his mission and what he's doing for homeless people here in Las Vegas. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Can you explain to the audience a little bit about Hero School and what makes it different than some other nonprofits, especially here in the Valley, that kind of are just help feed the homeless and things like that?
Sure. Well, Hero School started off as a movement, if you will. So, Hero Movement, just trying to get the people in the community to be more heroic.
Yeah.
Do stuff for other people. And we took it to a group of homeless people in 1995
Wow.
and talked the first 1,850 people out of being homeless. We just believe in education. So one of the differences we find is that if you want to become an engineer, you go to school to be an engineer. If you want to become learn to be an accountant. And so we figured, well, let's just apply the same thing we would apply to ourselves to the homeless. One of the differences was our group of people were entrepreneurs. So we also knew things like we knew how to manage risk. We knew to put our own out there first, right, to be personally responsible for everything. So we applied those techniques into creating a class. We called it Hero School, and then it later became the charity, Hero School Initiatives.
I remember you telling me, we sat down one time, we were having coffee, and you were explaining to me what I kind of want you to tell the audience in a second. Is it 4 different components that keep somebody homeless?
Yes, indeed.
Well, it was really eye-opening because I could relate to it myself, and I could still see these things, like, even in my children. Kind of things are like keeping people from becoming better or learning more. And I remember you said that you applied it one time years and years ago with like outside. There was like a big line outside, and you started teaching it, and you realized then that this worked, and you've just been like duplicating the same
Ever
process,
since,
right?
Yeah, and that's why I discovered it. So, it's Stephen Covey who said, "We don't see the world as it is; we see it as we are."
Yeah.
And many times people have answers, solutions to things, but they don't always go back to find out what was their own frame of reference for being able to see that solution.
Right.
I think it's an Albert Einstein quote, right? He said, if I had just an hour to save the world, I'd spend 55 minutes figuring out what the problem was, and then 5 minutes solving it.
Right.
So I was walking this line. I was the retired business owner writing the big check to the charity that said they were helping the homeless. I didn't know anything about homelessness or homeless people at the time, so I followed my money out to a park, Ethel Pearson Park in North Las Vegas, where 1,850 homeless people were lined up to get the food I was paying for. Now, having lived alone at age 11, dumpster diving in Henderson, I was wondering why, in my world of earning everything I got, we were feeding them first. Now this sounds odd because it's what you do. They're hungry. Well, it's not what they did for me when I was a kid. We had to earn everything, and so I built the sound system. But as walking this line, I built a sound system so that we could reach them all and get this message out there. But as I'm walking the line, I discovered that they each had the same 4 kind of, I call them now habits, but these were 4 responses that were the opposite of what made me me.
Interesting.
What made me the guy that could come out there with the food, the one who was able to retire, the one who was able to manage a business and not go out of business. And so we called those the 4 habits of homelessness. Then for the next 3.5 years, we did this class in the park, 1,850, then it was down to 900, and eventually the last 13 people in the park, and we had gotten 9,200 plus homeless people off the streets. Just teaching them the opposite of these habits, these traps they'd fallen into. Now you want to know what they were.
I remember one of them very well, and I'll tell you that I still apply it, and I think about it all the time when I'm like in a rut. I really I'll stop and be like, what is stopping me, or why am I not getting better? And it was the lateral learning, because I tend to do that. I'll kind of have my own group where we're kind of at the same level, and nothing wrong with that, to have those people in your life, but then you don't have someone who's way more successful than you telling you what to do. And so that one definitely sticks out to me.
Yeah, that's habit 3. And Harry Potter needs Hermione and he needs Ron, but he really needs to be learning from
Dumbledore,
McGonagall, right?
Yes. I love this reference.
Even Snape, right? Because even the villain can teach you occlumency.
He wasn't the villain, though. You saw the last
Well,
movie.
okay, so even the masked villain, right?
Yeah,
the one
yeah,
who's
yeah.
playing the role of, right? Okay, so so the habits are this, and the best way to understand them is to see them as what I call my 4 laws of entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So as entrepreneurs, what do? We add value first.
Right.
Right, as Starbucks, it's we go into debt for our lease. We buy all the machines. We have all the resources before anyone gives us money for a latte.
Right.
What do? I was walking that line, and they would ask for my stuff first. They beg. And so, so I said, okay, we've got to get them past that. So, of course, that's where you have to create the curriculum or create this intervention to get them to flip from begging to adding value. Well, the second one, what do? We take responsibility, even for stuff we didn't do. My favorite movie on that one is True Lies. Because in that Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis film, there's this Omega sector, this organization we know nothing about, but there it is at the built into the stone floor. It's a sign that says the last line of defense. And every entrepreneur is the last line of defense. It doesn't matter whose fault it was.
Right.
You take the blame even for stuff you didn't do.
Right.
It's also an Old Testament, Numbers chapter 14. Moses takes the blame. Jesus took the blame for stuff he didn't do. And so these are old themes, mythological and movie themes. And it's every entrepreneur. Well, what did I do? I asked them a question, and they blamed. They blamed this, that, everything else.
Did you ask them, like, why are you homeless? And it's my
I said, where are you from? Whatever, yes. And the language is a little more colorful than that. And so, and again, they need a way out of it. But I'll get through these habits, and maybe we'll talk a strategy. The third one that they do is horizontal learning. As I walked the line, and they said this, that, and the other, this is what's going on with me. I said, well, just do this, go do that, go here. And like I would do my staff or my friends or anybody that came to me for help, or like Daniel would come to Mr. Miyagi. What do I do?
Yeah.
You know, and I would tell him what to do. Well, in the first, it was wax the car. How to wax comes after the instruction. The problem is we hear the instruction with our underdeveloped brain, and we think that's just child labor. You're mean.
Right.
And it's that no, I have a purpose for why I'm telling you. And if you understood my purpose, you wouldn't be in this condition, would you, Daniel? Homeless. So we learn vertically, right? So the way we move up is we learn from someone who's mastered engineering in order to become an engineer. We learn from the Dumbledores and the Miyagis, those who know more than we can possibly know. And then when Mr. Miyagi, which is law 3, right, learn vertically, they learn horizontally. And as I walked that line and I told them these things, I'd noticed groups of 8 and 10 of them would get back together and talk about me.
This guy's crazy.
Well, yeah, but isn't that what happens in the rest of the world with people at an employee level? Those 4 habits are everywhere. I mean, they're pervasive. We found them in 1998 in public school. Kids had already learned them by 7th grade. We did an intervention at some schools in Henderson about 4 years ago. They'd already learned them by 2nd grade.
That's why I said even my kids, it's like, whose fault is this? Well, if you hadn't put the paper on the table, then, I'm aware of it and trying to teach them. Yeah,
well, and so look at their parents. Their parents are out at a sports bar at night, bad-mouthing the boss. So the only opportunity they have to learn and become indispensable is vertical.
Yeah.
And instead, what do? They befriend and only talk to and then about the one they should be listening to.
Absolutely.
And you can't badmouth Morpheus and make it in the Matrix.
I love the references.
So Mr. Miyagi then tells Daniel, wax the car. Well, then you're just supposed to do it to prove it, to see if it works. And of course, then he's going to say how to wax. But the way in which you wax is important. What happened there, I'd go to tell them this is what you do, and they'd want to talk back or tell a story. I initially defined habit 4, I called it being unteachable. And if you break down that category, it's talking back, making an excuse, telling a story. It's what a typical teen might do when they, when we're 12, 13, we think we know it all. And
being
we know
defensive about it.
Yeah, and you're trying to protect your ground. And all the while, we have to start to respect to say, no, somebody who's lived a little longer might know a little more than we do. So as a recap, begging, blaming, learning horizontally, and then telling a story are the 4 habits of homelessness, which is why when we engage someone on the street, you can never let them talk.
Right.
Or it recycles their homelessness. They might go through another year of homelessness because you listened to their story.
Right.
And see, we're all about,
validate them.
well, we're all about story, right? In the business world, all my business clients, we're all about story. But the problem is, you don't tell a story when you're still in the valley of the shadow of death.
Right.
You only tell the story when you've made it out, and now you have a completed journey, hero's journey. You know, so
Totally.
Entrepreneurs, what do? We add value first. I think it's true that all of us. We take the blame, even for stuff we didn't do. We learn vertically. And then again, when Mr. Miyagi tells us to wax the car, we say, how do we wax? And then we do it to prove it.
Always trying to be learning. I love that. So one thing I've always, I used to be the kind of person who would pick up a pizza, and then I'd be driving down the street and see a homeless person and be crack the window and putting the pizza out the window, which is still good to help them then.
Right,
but
sure.
it was really interesting, especially I attended your suit up event, which was really, really fun at the Palms and the big hardwood seat and everything. And I've learned kind of what homeless people need instead of the immediate instant gratification, the things that if someone was to donate money to your nonprofit, it's probably not necessarily going to food. I know you still do go and pick up things from grocery stores and help people out, but the core of it is not just feeding them. It's
food is a tool or a vehicle for change.
Right, and I love how you do your workshops and you promise them lunch if they stay.
Right.
So if they want food, you're listening to the whole
everything
thing.
was the way I was treated when I was a kid. And I think, to be honest, there's so many sweet, helpful people out there, but you have to start with, what do you want? What do you want? There's a line out of Joe Somebody, that movie. But what do you want? And I walked in that park wanting the homeless to be free from homelessness.
Yeah.
A lot of other people might embrace it thinking, well, I want them to feel good. I want them not to hate me. Right? That's how we address our kids, right? I want to have a feel-good experience for me. And that's it's important, but my goal is to free them from homelessness. I don't care if they hate me. Right? In movies, there are 3 parts to every movie. You have to have a relatable character, not necessarily likable. They got to be relatable.
Right.
Then they have to endure conflict and obstacles in order to accomplish the impossible. So every single movie is based on this formula, and so I just reverse engineered the math of movies in the '90s, turned it into a little 2-hour a movie intervention or treatment. It only works in a group, on an audience. One-on-one, it's a lot harder. Just like talking to your team, they'll go back to their group and talk back about you, right? So to get them back in the group is where change can occur, like in the movies. So if you're thinking about that when you roll down that window with the food or your intervention, you think, what do I need to say? What do I need to do to
and what
help
does
that
this person need to get a job and to be able to be a member of society? They need obviously a nice suit to go interview with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say again, just to think about how Hero School works. Hero School again is based on movies and all these movie truths, but we're the lighthouse. Even when I'm the one teaching the Hero School, I'm playing a fictional character. If I was a real person, then it's just like any real hero. If I had posters up, and I remember doing this, we helped 17,000 men get through Catholic charities over the time, doing all these hero schools, 8 years, and I had all my fictional movie characters that embody principles and characteristics, right? And someone says, well, why don't you have real ones up there? And I think someone brought up the name Tiger Woods. My name's Tiger, of course, but so he brought up Tiger Woods, and it was a month before the whole scandal. And so this is our problem with real characters, and the reason why you don't, because our human nature is, I'm looking for what you did wrong as an excuse not to have to do what you said.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
People will always pick out the one thing that you said wrong or did wrong or didn't put effort into.
Right. But no one's Googling Happy Gilmore to say, oh, I can't believe you did that, Happy.
Yeah, because it's okay for that person to do it. Yeah, that's really interesting. So before we go, a couple of things I wanted to make sure you guys know that I think is really, really interesting is if you guys go check out, first of all, the website, which I'll let Tiger tell you about in a second. The branding is amazing and matches the same kind of story. It's way different than any other type of nonprofit website you go to and you're like, oh, donate here and sad story. It's really fun and interesting and cool. It's really awesome branding. But I really love how you give people things like bus passes and storage units, because where are they going to put their stuff when they go for a job interview? And I really feel like when I either help raise money for your organization or donate, it's really making a difference instead of just kind of pacifying people.
Yeah, everything is strategic.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Well, yes. So let's apply it to the real world. So all we did is we found out that there are these little mathematical models that make a movie work, and then they show us truths about human nature. And while every character in film knows what they want, none of them know what they need.
Okay.
And it's the same in the real world. So we get them to choose what they want, a desire, and then start taking steps toward that. And it's as they take those steps is what they discover what they really needed. So the bus pass is when they get to take the step. So again, they fulfill their own journey. I can't help them become who they're supposed to be, but I can at least lead them in the right direction, entice them, set up the circumstances that aid that movie happening.
Right.
So that's kind of the way we do it.
Like if they have the groundwork, they have the bus pass, they have the clothes, they have the ability to
right, and the class where they can see the big picture. But it's their goal, their desire, and the character that they have to become. You know, character must change, and you know who they must be, who they are called to be. Who they have to be.
I love it, and and it's working. You're helping. How many people do you think you've?
Oh, it's 45,000 plus are no longer homeless. Plus prevention. That's just in Clark County, not including San Francisco, Honolulu, and then a good 250,000 kids. Prevention to prevent them from the 7 habits in public schools.
Wow, you're really making a huge difference. Where can people find you, contact you, find more about your organization, even donate online?
Yeah, they can go to heroschool.us, so heroschool.us.
Okay.
And then or on Facebook, find it. I think we have an Instagram account too.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much for being here. This was extremely valuable for entrepreneurs and everybody who wants to grow higher in their personal development or business. Yeah, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been another episode of Leading Las Vegas with Tiger Todd. I'm Danielle Ford, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.